to trickle in here. All right. Well, again, first and foremost, guys, I always want to show my gratitude to your consistency, you showing up for you, your mindset, getting your mental reps in, being on this call, showing up for your community. Because again, man, it's not just about you. It's there may be somebody in this community that needs your advice, right? That needs something that you've been through, something that you've grown through, and you showed up here to contribute to your brothers and sisters here. So thank you so much, guys, for making the commitment to be on this call. Our next guest speaker, I had the pleasure to know probably for a few years now, and he was again another connection from David Meltzer. And as I always say, anybody who ever meet through David, a lot of times these men and women are doing some amazing things and making some big impact in the world. And I'm always trying to figure out what topics I want to go deeper in within the Harvest community, because we know it's not just about personal growth, it's about professional growth. And I want to always continue to bring in more tactical stuff that we can take from a call and implement into our lives and business. And this next topic is about leadership, right? And I think we all know how important leadership is. I mean, this could be a 5-hour call, but I really wanted to take some time to really dive in on leadership. And Al gets brought into many Fortune 500 companies to speak and impact their leaders to then go and build amazing companies and also build people, because that's what true leadership is when you grow and scale, is you build the people, right? You build up your people, and your people help build the company that hopefully has a vision that fits their life vision in. So I'm excited to bring in Al. Al, thank you so much for being here, my friend. Where are you based out of, Al? Texas, I think?
Devin, I'm in, thanks, man. Appreciate it. I'm in Dallas, Texas. So down south, Deb says 7 a.m. I'm thinking, man, I got some time. And then I forget it's Eastern. So I'm 6 o'clock here. We're good to go, though.
Good stuff. I was like, should I put on my Eagles jersey right now? I'm like,
hey,
no,
man,
stick with the Harvest.
Don't hurt my feelings, bro. Don't hurt my feelings.
I'll tell you what, it's you can tell football season's coming up, because in the gym, if I wear an Ohio State shirt, or like you just start seeing all the guys start talking smack right out the gate, right? I was walking with an Ohio State shirt, somebody walked by me, go Blue. I was like, who was that, dude? I look back, and I never even met the dude, and he's yelling shit at me. But anyway, let's get into it, Al. Let's get into it, brother. Let's talk leadership. I know one of the other topics we're going to talk about is communication to connect.
Yep,
right? Communication to connect, and which is powerful. So let's get into it. Al, introduce yourself to everybody, if you don't mind, and then let's rock.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, first and foremost, let me just say thank you guys for what you're doing, because what I see already is engagement that's going to make an impact beyond what you're doing and into other people's lives, which I know is Devin's heart for sure. So one of the things I wanted to ask real quick, and just one word from you guys, because I'm more of a participation kind of guy. I try not to be as much of a lecturer, get you guys engaged. But if you guys could give me one word as to why you joined the Harvest Group, I'd love to hear it. If you guys, if at one at a time or all at once, I don't care. But I just want to hear one word from you as to why you joined this group and what you want to get out of it. Just one word. Community. Jeff says community. Love it. Growth. Positivity. Patrice, I can already see that. You're smiling from ear to ear nonstop. Community. Very cool. Grace. Cool. Excellent. Great. Love it. Awesome, guys. Well, listen. I think what you're doing right now, and if you could allow me, maybe Dev, to share my screen, I'll show a couple slides when you get a chance. But one of the things that I do is, I'm a leadership coach. I joined the John Maxwell team back in 2015 after being laid off, and just looking for some personal development to some degree, because I was definitely I was getting filled up by these Fortune 500 companies, and I wasn't getting my own accountability. Love it, Jim. And so I went and seeked it myself. And then I looked around, and people were making money doing this, pouring into others, developing others. So I'm like, hey, let's make a run at this. But I'll show you a couple pictures that bring to mind Devin and my relationship real quick. Let me know if you can see.
I have it set. There we
Got
go.
it. I got it. You can see my screen. It's blank right now. So I'll tell you the journey with Devin. Here's the journey. 2019, I met this Joker. We were in Jersey, and we're sitting around like a bunch of mafiosos, hanging out with Dave Meltzer and a couple other characters. And so that was our first opportunity to meet one of the baddest ass steakhouses I've ever been to in South
Toscano's
Jersey.
Bordertown, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't get anything from this
Toscano-
call, you better get going to that restaurant.
Yeah, if you drop the call right now, take your ass to Toscano immediately. But fantastic, got to meet him, and I knew right away that we shared a common ideology around leadership and growth. And then COVID hits, and I don't see anything from this Joker at all. I don't see nothing aside from him posting about family and stuff. And then I'm looking around thinking, man, is everybody wearing masks? And everybody's wearing masks except for Devin. Devin's like, if you're going to see my face and you're going to see impact and see the beauty, I'm going to have impact if I can remove the mask. Well, that's what he did. And then I see him later on, and he's getting beat up by his kid. I think his kid threw it. If I'm not mistaken, Dev, it might have been a metal truck that he threw at you.
Yeah, it was like a race
and
car.
hit you in the eye. So he took some bumps and bruises along the way, along his journey. And then I see him lifting weights, and I'm like, this guy's back. He's back at his game. And then ultimately, what he's doing, man. And then I saw him jumping back in and really getting professional with you guys, so you could see him flex, both from just not just a big muscle guy, but also one that can dress up and look good as well. So, man, I just want to say thank you. The one thing I love about what he does is God plants seeds and harvesting that seed. So he's trained and coached by the best in the world. That's why he serves his community, and that's what he does. So I love that about you, Dev. I just want to say, man, big shout for you, man. You're
Thank
amazing.
you, man.
I've been watching your journey from afar and actually been emulating it to a degree. So it's amazing what you can learn from people that you run into. But for me, my name's Al Herera, again, certified coach. You look me up on LinkedIn, man. I'm not going to give you the resume. That's not important. What's important is what gives me juice. And I think that's what's important for you, is to understand what gives you juice and what gives you energy. For me, it's my daughters and my wife. I got three beautiful girls. One who I've been married to for 25 years, Anna on the far left. I know I outkick my coverage because most people think that she's another daughter. So I think it's the brown skin, but beautiful on the left-hand side. Anna, we have Alana in the middle, second year in law school, and then Allie on the right. My heart's, man, I get a little choked up because what we do is to model for them. You model for your family. You model for your friends. Everything you do is about leading well. And then faith in the middle, man, that's the bedrock. Grew up on the right. You see, raised by an incredible mom by herself, raised me and my brother, and ultimately got a stepdad that was awesome as well. And then another thing that gives me juice is the coaching, man. I get coached by the best. Dave Meltzer, number one, and John Maxwell. Those are two of the best leadership coaches I've ever experienced in my life. And so I get a chance to speak and share, and just like you guys, just making impact in what you do. And I find that when you find your purpose, that's the way you return your gifts to God, right? So he gives you the gift, and you return it by blessing other people and sharing with them the gifts he's given you. And then lastly, I work out on occasion. I try to get big like Dev. The bottom, if nothing else, take note of this. Have a family vision. Have a vision for your family and let them understand what that's about. Some of you may have families now and you can create that. Some of you don't, and you can start thinking about that. But our family vision is love, lead, and trust. Love God, lead people, and trust the plan, because everything that happens to you is not happening to you. It's happening for you. And more importantly, it's happening for other people that you're going to be in contact with and you're going to make impact with. So think about it. Think about that vision for your family's life and watch what happens as it takes root. But before we start, I need some advice. I just got my ass whipped by the tax man, and I was trying to hold off and make as much money off of the money that I had to give to him. And I just got to tell you, I'm tired of paying him. I'm exhausted. but I need some investment advice. So I've heard stocks, Bitcoin, real estate, and money market. Can one person give me something better to invest in to any degree. I don't care what it is. Share it. Someone come off mute and tell me, give me an investment that I can spend some time on.
All right, we got some financial people in here, but Freddie,
I'm sure.
Invest in yourself.
there we go.
Okay, invest in myself. I love it, man. So we got the right answer right away. So the best investment you can make is an investment in yourself. The more you learn, the more you'll earn. And also, too, you make a lot more money. Obviously, you can help a lot more people. And Devin and I share that from our coach as well. But one of the things that I'm going to talk about is the communication aspect of it, because I want to help you guys with being able to connect. One of the most difficult things to do is connect with people through communication. Most people just talk, but they don't connect. And there's more than one book on this, but one of the books that I reference is Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. So take that down, put that in your library. But one of the aspects of connection I'm going to focus on is, basically influence. And so when you think about leadership is influence. You guys are influencing every single day. There is never a day when you're neutral. If you have no impact or neutral impact, that's a negative influence on the people around. So I want you to think about that and the responsibility that has been put on you, in essence, because one of the things that you're going to find is every time you step into a situation, you're the guy. Kenny, you're the guy. Kelly, you're the girl. You're the one that's called to be in that room for a reason. Christine, same thing. You're called to influence and have a positive influence. Hoff, Michael, McCarthy, think about it. You are there to influence and have an impact. So make that impact be positive. Connecting principle number 1 is influence. PhD, don't worry about who it is. Name's John Howe. Spent a lot of time basically studying 16,000 executives. There is a direct correlation between achievement and the ability to care for and connect with people. That's it. Just know that your achievement is based on your ability to connect. Jumping into the influence, successful US presidents all exhibited this. 5 qualities: vision, pragmatism, consensus building, charisma, trustworthiness. Of these skills, 4 of the 5 have to do with connection and being able to connect. Another principle is most people who disconnect are not aware. I'm going to give you another piece of advice that I think will change your life. Aside from understanding who your God is and how you were created, that's the most important thing. The second thing is emotional intelligence. So what I find most people not doing is not understanding when they're not connecting, struggling to connect, and they are clueless, and we're clueless sometimes. We have blind spots. So do yourself a favor, buy Emotional Intelligence 2.0, take the assessment in the back, and self-coach. It gives you very specifics on where your gaps are with regard to emotional intelligence and the blind spots that you have, and gives you very specific things that you can improve in a short period of time.
I just want to give one thing to just have people understand this a lot better. Like, how many times, man, I tell that person the same thing over and over again. I made this hire. I feel like I got to say it 10 times and nothing ever gets done, right? Like you're communicating these things and you're like, man, they just are not doing it, right? That's, I've been through that a bunch of times. So I just want to give you guys real life examples of what we're like meaning and tied into things that you've probably been through or are going through, and how, like, there may be that one thing on this call, man, that's what I wasn't doing.
Yep.
Man, if I would have known this 5 months ago, my business would have changed or my relationship would have changed. So just wanted to share that with you guys as we dig into this.
Yeah, I love it, Dev. Both of us are definitely wired exactly the same, because I think it sucks. I think it sucks if you spend an hour of your time, 5 minutes of your time, 10 minutes of your time on something, and you don't take one action step from it. Like, I just think it's just a waste of time. Nobody needs more knowledge. We're good with knowledge. That doesn't have impact. What has impact is taking action. So thinking about connecting signals. And I want you to think about and writing one thing down maybe that you feel like you can improve on out of these connecting signals. Maybe going the extra mile on extra effort, increased communication with people around you, whether it's clients or employees. Some of you guys run big companies with lots of people, and some of you are solopreneurs. Either way, you're having impact with someone. Positive energy, unsolicited appreciation. Do you know that most people will not get anything of gratitude, a thank you, an appreciation message for 2 weeks solid? Never hear from anybody else. Negative reinforcement, playing it in their mind that whether they're making an impact or not, whether they're good at what they're doing, be the one that gives people unsolicited appreciation. Impact. That's how you connect. Enjoyable experiences, growing synergy. Another one is unguarded openness, vulnerability. People don't really want to hear you just grandstand on what you do. They want to understand that you're a real person and you're vulnerable and you share some of the same challenges that they do. And when you don't do that, when you're super guarded, you cannot connect. It's gonna bounce off the wall nonstop, and you're just gonna get frustrated. I'm gonna get super vulnerable with you guys, and I asked Deb, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna do this, and that'll come later. But think about the connection opportunities that you have every day when you connect with vulnerability. And then, a couple more is emotional bondedness and unconditional love. Man, give people the benefit of the doubt. Love them more than they deserve. There's enough hate in this world. There's enough, division. Be the one that unifies. Share this too regarding principles. I know that I'm on a group in a session with high achievers. So I'm not even focused on average achievers or low achievers, but I want you to have aspirations for being a high achiever, care about people as well as profits. View subordinates, people that work for you, or people in lesser positions optimistically. Like put a big 10 on their head. You should be looking at every single individual as someone you can learn from, spend time with, enjoy their company, or share something with. Seek advice from those under them. One of the biggest gaps that I see, and it's preached to me, I know it's preached to Devin, ask for help. Ask people for help. Seek advice. Everybody is willing to help you as long as you're willing to humble yourself and ask someone for help. I don't care who it is. And then face the rejection if they don't have time. It's okay. You'll get a clear signal that they're not making time for you. And that's not someone you want to be associated with anyways. So ask people for help and then actively listen. Listen to people. Listen for an understanding, not for an opportunity. Excuse me. Connecting is all about others, not about ourselves. Here's what we do. We focus on ourselves. Why do we focus on ourselves so much? Because the first thing you look at in the mirror when you wake up, I'm not that proud of this face nor all the loss of hair, but I see myself in the mirror every single morning. And that's all I'm faced with all day. So it's natural that I'm going to look at myself. So why do we focus on ourselves and not others more? Immaturity, the ability to see and act on behalf of others. Thinking about, I pray every morning, give me 5 people I can have an impact on positively. 5 people. If there's half a day that goes by and I haven't talked to anybody or added any value to anyone, I'm struggling. And I'm reaching out to people to check on people because I need to add value to somebody. And failure to value everyone. And the last one is ego. Here are 3 questions people are asking you all the time, and you don't even know it. They've got this big bubble in their head. They're asking 3 questions every time you interact. Do you care for me? Can you help me? And can I trust you? Those 3. That should be a solid check for you at the end of my day, at the end of my week. I'm checking myself. How did I show my team that I cared about them individually, not as a group? Not everybody receives care the same way. Show people that you care about them the way they want to receive care. Understand what that is. Get to know them. Can you help me? Are you competent in areas? Help me in something. I was waiting for more advice on what to invest in, but I got the right answer right away. Think about how you can help people with that, and then can I trust you? Bottom line, people need to learn to trust you, but ultimately it takes those first 2 steps before you get to that. I'm sure you've seen this before. If you haven't, rude awakening. Connecting goes beyond words. When you communicate, the most effective communicators, when you think about the percentage, if you break it down and look at the percentage, most people think that words have more value than they do. And that's not true. So I'll give you an example. If I was sitting here talking like this, 3 components to face-to-face communication: words, tone of voice, body language, how others believe. I'm boring the shit out of y'all right now. Like I'm done. Y'all are done with me. Some of y'all are done with me now. You're rolling your eyes maybe off screen. I'm not sure. But ultimately, what I'm trying to do is invoke some body language and some passion. Think about this. Body language, 55% of communication, how you show up, what you do when you move. The other one is the way you say it, the tone of voice. It's the tonality. Are you monotone, or is there inflection in your voice? And then lastly, 7% is words. So think about that when you're having engagement with people. You can't roll out of bed and just expect to communicate well and connect well. You can't do it. You've got to be ready. You've got to be prepared. Practicing common ground, finding common ground with individuals. Here are the challenges. I see them all the time. Have you ever been around someone that knows everything? If you're on screen, if I can see your face, raise your hand. If you've been around someone that thinks they freaking know everything. No matter what you say, they're the me monster and they're sharing an example or they're finishing your statement. Don't be that guy or that girl. Control, they put the mask on. They don't care to know what you need, want, period. Arrogance, they don't need to know. They have no need to want to know what it is that you care about, what you need, how you need help. And indifference, don't care, don't need to know, hide from you, ultimately feel like they already know. Those are all bad signs. So think about this. Here's how you find common ground choices. Find one of these to improve as we speak. Think about this as you're thinking about how you communicate. Make yourself available. One of the things is accessibility. And what I mean by that is their time, not your schedule. Your tasks sometimes get in the way of people. Sometimes people need you when they need you. Be available for them. Questions. Be more interested than interesting. Ask questions to understand what it is about them and how you can add value to them and find common ground. Vulnerability we talked about, humility, selflessness, listening for common ground, thoughtfulness, being thoughtful about the situation and how you can find that common ground. Likability, care. Do you care about them? And adaptability. Try to put yourself in their shoes as much as possible. Try to put yourselves in their shoes as much as possible. One of the things I got accused of as a leader of people was not being empathetic. And this happened 4 years ago. Someone came back with empathetic was my gap. I'll tell you what it was. I was taught as a kid to hide challenges and get through them fast. Because if I could ignore them and get through them, then I could be happy again. I do the same thing with people sometimes, but not everybody's good with that. Some people needed me just to listen. So I've picked up a new mantra. Do you want me to just listen, or do you want me to help?
This is marriage advice too, by the way. This
Oh
is
gosh.
patient advice. Very, very true.
This is my spouse. That's the one thing. Do you need a hug? Do you need help? Or do you just need my heart? Like I ask her those questions. So take responsibility for your listeners. One of the things that I did when I got up this morning was I prayed about, look, if I can have impact on one person, what do they need? Show me what they need. Communicate. Also, think about communicating in their world, not yours. Capture people's attention from the start and say it so it sticks. Those are the 4 things to help you connect and have impact. Inspiration. All right. This one's big. I struggle with individuals that have no passion for what they do and why they do it. There has got to be a reason, and people need to see that you're excited about what you're doing. What do people need to know? Them, being focused on them, that you have high expectations for them on whatever they're doing. What do people need to see? Your conviction, your example. And then last, what do they need to feel? your confidence in yourself and in them. Like, show that, let that come out, and then your gratitude for them. So think about this: what people know, what people see, what people feel equals inspiration. And so one of the things I'm going to attempt to do right now is inspire you. I'm going to attempt to inspire you. And this is where I'm going to get extremely vulnerable with you, but I believe that this is the number one thing that holds you back from achieving all your goals and dreams. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of people, by the end of this, you'll understand and you'll agree with me that this will be a game changer for you. So I'm going to ask you to do something. I'm going to ask you to do something. I'm going to ask you to participate with me. I believe your identity determines your actions. I believe your identity determines your actions. I'm going to ask you to drop your fake ID and pick up your real ID. What I mean by that, you suffer from self-doubt. Everybody in here suffers from self-doubt. Raise your hand if you suffer from some type of self-doubt at all. Raise your hand. If you don't, I'm going to call you a bold-faced liar. And I can't see y'all off screen, so I'm just going to assume that you suffer from some self-doubt. So what happened that caused you to pick up the fake ID? I'm going to stop sharing because I want to see your faces. So if you guys can come off screen, I'd appreciate it. I understand if you're driving, don't put yourself in jeopardy. But this one's heavy and it's big, and this is going to be a game changer if you take it serious. My fake ID. I picked up a fake ID early in life. The reason I picked up a fake ID is when I was 7 years old, my dad left. I look at my daughters now, and I couldn't believe there's nothing that my wife could do to get me to leave. Because I just want to be around my girls. So fake ID number one for me was being unworthy. 7 years old, spent a little bit more time kind of understanding, and then I felt I was unworthy. Wasn't worthy enough for him to stick around for longer. So at 7 years old, I picked up the fake ID of being unworthy. 3 years later, I go to my mom that raised me and my brother. Went to a baseball game. We watched TCU in Texas play a college baseball game in Fort Worth, and we were too broke to get in. So we sat on the outside of the fence and spent some time on the outside of the fence watching this game. And I got to tell you, man, I was so excited. I was so excited because I had an opportunity for the first time to a dream birthed in my life right then. I saw people playing a sport that I enjoyed and I got some affirmation from. And I determined right then that I wanted to play college baseball. So that dream started right then. And I tell you, it was almost quenched within a day because I got to school the very next day. And I was talking to my friends, super excited about what I had just experienced. And I tell them, I know what I'm going to do when I get older. I'm going to play college baseball. And so I believe within probably, that was less than 24 hours, I was kind of a class clown, talked a lot, kind of a distractor in class. So I didn't have as much favor with Miss Tweedell in third grade as some would have hoped. But out of the side of her mouth, when she heard me saying this to my friends that I'm going to play college baseball, I caught an earshot of her saying, if you ever get to college. She didn't mean for me to hear that. My dad has 15 brothers and sisters. My mom has 4. I have cousins that I don't even know, and no one had gone to college or graduated. So all I thought in my head was that you had to be smart to get into college. So she didn't say this. But here's what I thought. Fake ID number 2, you're dumb. So by the age of 10, I pick up 2 fake IDs. You're unworthy and you're dumb. I don't know about you, but I really didn't get a fake ID till I was like 18, for real, for real. So I could spend some time in clubs and dancing and partying. But can you imagine at age 10 having 2 fake IDs? So I'm unworthy and I'm dumb. The third fake ID came into play as I got older. I did play college baseball, by the way. I was sub-average, not very good, but I achieved my dream. Went to school, played college baseball, got a criminal justice degree. My dad was a warden at the Federal Bureau of Prisons, and I wanted to be like my dad. I had spent no minimal time with him growing up, but I wanted to be like him. And so I'm working for the Federal Bureau of Prisons as an officer, and then I was on a SORT team, kind of like a SWAT team inside the prison. And we were called in for situations, but we were usually last resort. So in this situation, we're called in, there's a riot going on. I want you to imagine us thinking that we're going into a riot of a maximum security prison, ready to do what we need to do, possibly bring weapons in. Adrenaline's pumping. We go in, things are already settled. By the time we get in, I don't know if you have anybody that you know that is in law enforcement, but there's this code we live by. And we protect each other. And we lie pretty consistently to protect brothers and sisters that are also officers. And my integrity was terrible because I lied consistently to help out other people if something wasn't done by procedure. This situation we got into, we were called to lock up an individual and double bunk them in segregation. We got heavy-handed with the inmate, and we walk out of there, and I think, oh my gosh, this is not going to go well. So I'm 5 years into working at the Federal Bureau of Prisons. And long story short, best thing that ever happened to me, number one, I'll tell you. Because as you grow, as you go through hard things, they're basically there to help you build perseverance and grit. So I had a choice. We were basically investigated by the Office of Inspector General and charged with assault on an inmate. 17 of us got charged with the same thing. There was only 3 of us in the room, and we all lied. Everybody lied. So my lawyer from Houston says, hey, I'm pretty sure we can beat this charge out because you were trained, captain was at the end of the run, everybody knew what was going on. But if we don't, you go to prison for 10 years. And this is in 1999. My first daughter is about to be born in 2000. So I have a choice. Do I try this? So number one, I dropped to my knees and I gave my life to God. I was done. I'm done. I can't run it anymore. Obviously, I've gotten myself in a situation that I can't get out of. And I said, God, no matter what, I'm following you. I'm done trying to run it. Whether I go to prison for 10 years or stay out, it doesn't matter. I'm going to chase you and obey you and try to be the best person for you. So fake ID number 3, long story short, I pled guilty to obstruction of justice. So now, convicted felon was the 3rd fake ID. So I'm unworthy, I'm dumb, and I'm a convicted felon, all by the age of 29. And I'm carrying these fake IDs nonstop with me. They're in my pocket. I mean, my wallet's not here, but think about a wallet filled with fake IDs. And that is holding me back from opportunities, from challenges that I'm supposed to face to get better. And so I'm not going to leave you there. Like, I want you to think about this. I want you to think about some of the fake. Raise your hand. Come off screen if you're not off on screen. Please jump on screen and raise your hand if you still travel with a fake ID to some degree. Yeah. 100%, Mark says. So I'm going to help you because I know that you can take action on that and we can remove these fake IDs. And I want you to pick up a real ID. So if you're on screen, I want you to hold up your hands 18 inches. 18 inches. All right. So we're going to take a journey, an 18-inch journey. There is a difference. Point to your head. From knowing what your real ID is, now point to your heart. Put your hand on your heart. To believing what your real ID is. I'm all for affirmations. Trust me, I say lots of them, but I don't always believe them. You can say them as much as you want, but ultimately, if it doesn't go from head and knowing to heart believing, this fake ID will hold you back from being the best father you can be, husband you can be, professional you can be, real estate, finance, it doesn't matter. It affects everything. And so I'm going to ask you to take this journey with me of dropping the fake ID and picking up the real ID, and I'll show you how I did it. So bear with me. I'm going to ask you in a second to take 30 seconds and write down your fake ID. And if you already have it in your mind, go ahead and write that down. So fake ID number 1, unworthy. I've reversed that since then. So fake ID number 1 is unworthy. Now I'm worthy, not because of what I do, but because of who I am and who created me. Period. It's not about my production. It's not about my mistakes. It's about who I am. So I'm worthy now. I flipped that. Fake ID number 2, dumb. That's changed as well. Fake ID number 2, dumb. I referenced a book called Emotional Intelligence. So I believe now I've gone from dumb to emotionally intelligent enough to have an impact in people's lives, be able to read situations and people, feel what they're going through, and help them move forward in life. So it's gone from dumb to emotionally intelligent. So you see how I'm creating this narrative. I'm creating a narrative for myself that is actually true. It's a real ID. And fake ID number 3. Do this on your own time, but I want you to look up your name because your name means something. There is a definition to your name. And I want you to keep digging into your first name, your middle name, your last name, until you come up with that true essence of what you believe your name means. Well, my last name is Herera, and it means blacksmith. So think about that. As a blacksmith, you hit hard things. Devin, myself, you guys are hitting hard things nonstop, having an impact in people's lives because it took me 49 years to get the way I am now. It's not going to change in a day. So I went from convicted felon to a blacksmith that unlocks people's potential. So think about this. Think about the how ironic is this? I went from locking people up to almost being locked up to now unlocking people's potential. So my identity has changed dramatically. Now, I'm not saying that it's gone. I still struggle with some of those fake IDs and they hold me back. But that's why I listen to people like Devin, like Dave, like John, like I have got to, and I pray nonstop, help me remove and keep this belief about who I am and who you've created me to be. So I'm tired of carrying around this fake ID. It's rough. No one knows the baggage that I carry, but it's gotten so much lighter since I've come up with the real ID. And so my prayer before I got on, and I'm sorry for the emotion. I never know how it's going to go. So thank you guys for being patient with the sissy over here that was crying. I just care a lot about seeing you guys break through as well. And I know Devin does, which is why he gets so passionate about you guys having impact, taking action, moving the needle. So I want you to take a minute and I want you to rewrite your fake ID to what your real ID is. So think about the narrative. Think about the narrative and the story that you told yourself from whenever. And I want you to flip it right now. And remember, it's got to go from your head to your heart. So some of you have already done it in your head and written it down, and some of you are still thinking about it. So I'll give you a few more seconds to think about it. But I'm gonna ask you to be bold and take action right now. And if you come off mute and raise your hand, I would love to hear the impact that just happened in you, and for you to share what the fake ID was and now what the real ID is. So I'll call on you as you come off mute, but this is bold action and this is vulnerability. So I know when you bring things out of the darkness, they lose their power. I can assure you of that. There's been so much freedom. I've been freed up dramatically because of coming out of the darkness with some of these lies. So as you're writing it, if anybody wants to raise their hand or come off mute, I'll call on you to share with the group kind of what the fake ID was and what the real ID is now. And I'm really patient. I love uncomfortable silence. Devin Denofa, the leader, speed of the leader, speed of the team.
No, as I grew and as I continue to grow, like in just in the human development business, which is kind of what we're all in it in one way or another, but like just for a long time, right? Because it was at one point it was one of my goals, right? But to drop the fake idea of just looking at myself as a realtor, right? To drop that ID, and I'm much, 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 much more. You know what I mean? So a lot of times when I was going through the thing, whether it's coaching, like sometimes, it was just, that would project, well, you can't do that because people know you as a real, you can't do that because people know, you know what I mean? So as you continue to grow, and that's one of the pieces to the puzzle, right? But like that was for me to make national and global impact, right? And, sometimes in that type of human development space, I had to drop the idea of, dude, you're not just a realtor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not just you're a human develop. An individual changer. You're a world. You know what I mean? And I had to
Yes.
just fight for that next identity, to think bigger, to do bigger, to have more energy, to have more belief. So that's one of the things. I have a few others, but
Love it, Dev. Love it, bro. Good. How about others? Patrice, how did I know that Patrice was going to raise her hand? She's so engaged. I love
Oh, well,
Patrice,
thank
whatever
you.
you're doing, let me know what that is. I would love to support it somehow.
Thank you.
But go ahead. Go ahead.
I thank you for your time today. It's been taking a lot of notes, and I'm grateful that it's being recorded. So ironically, I usually am not the first person to speak or the second person to speak in anything, but I figured since you were vulnerable, I'd put myself out there as well to return it. But I've always thought of myself as dumb, and I've always been attracted to hanging out with people that are smarter than me. And my brother and sister both sailed through school, got really good grades, went on to college, both got the master's degree. And I struggled to get out of high school, struggled to get out of college. And I really only went to college because I was the only one of 18 grandkids that didn't have a college degree. And I felt like, oh, I don't want to disappoint Nana. I mean, that was one of the reasons. It wasn't the only reason, but
for sure.
My spouse has a PhD. So what I have to work on is I'm not dumb. I just learn differently from other people, and that there's always going to be people that are richer than me, poorer than me. There's always going to be people smarter than me that learn differently than me and not as smart as me. So I have to flip the switch on the negative talk about being dumb, because I'm not dumb. I'm just, it's not, I have to learn to it not be a comparison either. It's like, I am who I am. God created me who I am. I'm a good person. And and he gave me the gifts that I have. So that's all I have.
Patrice, that's amazing. Let me tell you what. Let me help you with that narrative and keep working on it too, because this takes time. It took me time to narrow it down to one word, but I'm going to tell you what you experienced. You experienced teachers that sucked, that didn't know how to teach you or engage you. Period. That has nothing to do with you. They didn't teach you the way you need to learn, nor were they interesting enough. They probably should have taken this class on communication because they had gaps in being able to connect. So ultimately, when you find something that you love, you figure it out. You start learning it. And I'll tell you, wise. Patrice, wise. When you hang around people that know more than you, and you're not afraid to ask questions and learn from them, that's wisdom. So dumb, wise. Very simple. You are smart enough to realize who people are around you that can help you, where you can benefit. That's a genius. I call you a genius. And I also call you humble. Humble. You're humble. Humble people find people better than them and are okay not being the smartest in the room. If you're the smartest in the room and you're not vulnerable, you're in the wrong room. Get away from that. You're not going to grow. Stop being in charge or pretending like you're in charge. Love it, Patrice. Thank you for sharing.
Well, Patrice, I wanted to share one thing too. And this is, one thing that I thought about a lot, but you are not dumb. You're actually very smart in your zone of genius, the shit that you have
That's
interest to be smart in, right? So everybody here has their zone of genius, right? I was working with a coach last week, and it was like almost like, hey, what is your zone of genius? So you guys are, every single one of you are very, very, very intelligent with the stuff that you want to learn about. And you have a zone of genius that those people who we quote unquote think are smart, and not saying that they're not smart, but like you are probably smarter in your zone of genius than they are in that same topic. Now, their zone of genius, their topic, yes, they may be a lot smarter than you in that, but we're all geniuses just finding our zone of genius, right? And we all have that. So just wanted to share that because you probably have a very deep skill set and very a lot of intelligence and genius in certain things that those people that you look at probably have no clue in. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you so much. All right, others, don't let Patrice hang out there by herself and Deb
we got 8 minutes left. Let's do one more, and then I want to try and just breeze through some of the just to kind of piggyback on what Al was saying, just to make sure I can tie it into your everyday lives too even more. So anybody else? We got one more. I see Jim Turpin. Let's go. Jim's always showing up, always being interactive. I love it. Let's go, Jim.
So, Al, I really want to thank you this morning because I heard that passion. So I had shared some of that as well, as I'm adopted, and I'm the youngest of 14 adopted boys. And it was always having that, growing up and going through school as being the poor kid, not having the things that I saw everybody else have, and having that feeling of like, do I deserve that? Like, do I deserve nice things? Can I achieve those things, right? And for a lot of years, I think that held me back. And it probably wasn't until 20 years ago that I really started to I got rid of that ID, but then developed others. And as you were talking about it, I realized that the facades or the personas that you put up just to get through, because you're in, at the time I worked in New York, you're in situations where you're not, you look around and you go, who doesn't belong? And when you can't figure it out, it's you, right? And I went through that for a lot of years. And then when I opened my own business 11 years ago, it was trying to keep that maintain that piece of, the ducks swimming, right? Like all calm on the on the
Yep.
outside, but there's 10,000 things going on underneath the water, right? And just, you know, trying to be more vulnerable and more, you know, just open with, you know, whether it's my wife and my kids or my clients or, you know, my friends in this community, you know, I think is the, you know, you really struck a strong tone for me today, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Jim, man, thank you, bro, for sharing that. You know, we learned something new about you, right? And 14, one of 14 adopted. There's struggles that come with that. Period. Identity. Lots of things come with that. And also, too, it carries over to other areas of life. So I know not everybody came on and shared, and I'm cool with that. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Continue to work through that. Go fake ID, write it down. Anytime any negativity pops into your mind, where does that come from? Where's the root? And then replace it with a real ID and write it down, simplify it, make it concise, and then go from your head to your heart. Because when that happens, that transformation happens. There is one thing about behavior modification. There's another thing about spiritual transformation. That's what lasts. So here's what first of all, thank you, Devin, for the opportunity. It blessed me probably a lot more than it blessed you guys to be able to pour into you today. And I'm just so thankful that he asked me. But think about how you communicate for connection. Remember that leadership is influence. And drop your fake ID. There are people waiting on you. People are waiting on you to drop the fake ID and pick up your real ID, because there's so much opportunity that you can have having impact in people's lives and changing their lives. And the last thing I'll leave you with is come up with that family vision, personal vision. Love God, lead people, and trust the plan. So, Dev, thanks so much, bro. I appreciate you. Love you guys. Harvest is in my heart, man. You planted a seed in me, bro.
Good stuff, man. Wow, Jim, amazing, man. Every time I try and tell you guys to prep for these calls, find that one thing, right? And if you train your mind, you will find that one thing that yep, that's why I came. Yep, that's why I made the commitment to be on the call, right? And Jim, incredible story. And now Jim's like, man, I'm gonna learn everything I need to know about money, and I'm gonna make money and help other people make money. And that's exactly what he's been doing, guys. But you know, when we think about this fake ID, one, like doing and learning this skill set is one thing, but then you take it to your employees. You help them drop their fake IDs. You take it to your audience, your network, the people who follow you, your clients, your customers. You help them drop their fake IDs. Watch how much they will love you forever. And I want to share one thing when we talk about, you know, being vulnerable, right? When you're trying to lead, one impactful way you can lead your people, right? Whether it's a sales rep, whether it's a new hire, is sharing with them your story, right? Because a lot of people follow you guys and they're like, man, you know, he or she just, they got it. Like, you know, it was like, man, like, I just know they probably crushed it. Everything went perfect for them. They didn't really struggle because they see who you are now, right? And sometimes they just look at you as perfection. They get discouraged, and who knows what other things that they think when you start trying to tell them what to do. And the one thing that I realized that helped me was when I'm trying to help somebody grow, I share with them the struggles, where I came from, the struggles that I had in my journey, and bang, it like lights up something in them. And they're like, wait, it wasn't easy? Wait, you really went through that to get here, to build this company to where we're at now? And it makes them stop just thinking about how much you're making, right? It makes them think about, holy shit, he did have to grind and struggle and go through this and go through that to get there. And then that develops such a massive respect for you. And they will ride a lot more with you because you made a connection with them. You're like, you know what? You struggled that, man, you struggled just like me. Or you struggled way worse than me, right? So now I got to stop thinking like this about you, right? So being vulnerable to make that connection with your people, guys, sharing your story could be a major difference in helping your leadership and making the people who work for you or the people that follow you or the people, man, sometimes we don't even explain it to our children enough, right? Because we always want to be like Superman or Superwoman, like, hey, we handle everything. That man, we were on a Deep Roots call weeks ago. Somebody mentioned like being more vocal around sharing your failures with your kids. And that blew my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to talk more about that. Because that makes better connection. Because they're like, wow, you're me. I gave the Michael Strahan analogy, why he doesn't fix his front teeth, right? One of the big reasons why is because he wants to make that like that guy could fix his front teeth, but that's his connection with people. Like, hey, look, I ain't perfect. You know what I mean? Look, I'm connecting with you. I'm doing the same. You know, I got imperfections, and I'm riding with them, right? He actually did a joke and made it appear that he closed the teeth, and all these people reached out, pissed off. You sold that, yeah, blah blah blah. He's like, no, I was just kidding. Right? And when we talk about prisoner, you're past that fake ID, man. I'm not going to say any names, but I had a great conversation with one of our members yesterday, and they were doing something, they're in the process of doing something amazing, and nobody in their family has ever done what they were doing. So they were going through all this head trash, this man, all these negative thoughts of something that's so powerful, so good, but they were so tied to that fake idea of like, what their family was like in the past and who they should be compared to how far their family went and what they were going to be thinking, right? And then after that conversation, it was a whole thing of, man, it switched over to, wow, you're the one for the family now. Now it's a whole different energy. It's a whole different mindset. Everything changes when you look at it that way. Your production, everything. So, Al, great call. I hope you guys, again, thank you all for investing your time for yourself, for the community to be here. I hope you got just one thing from this that you're going to take action on. You're going to share with somebody to help them drop their fake ID. Guys, I appreciate you. I love you. Al, thank you so much for being here in the morning, firing us up to start a day and crush the rest of the week. We appreciate you guys. Follow Al. You'll get a lot of good content on there, guys, and consistently, interact with each other, help each other, maybe have conversations with each other after this. Right. And I know some amazing things will happen. So, guys, September 7th, write this date down. September 7th, Burlington Country Club. We're doing a harvest meetup, the patio area, Burlington Country Club, September 7th. I'm going to drop it in the group. I would love to see you all make a commitment, rearrange your schedule. I know it's not going to be perfect and convenient, but I'll tell you, it's powerful when you guys get together and shake hands and reconnect. Some good stuff happens when you see each other. So, I'm going to repost that in the community, but I just wanted to share with you guys that that's our next meetup date, September 7th at night, Burlington Country Club.
What time, Dev? Do you know?
Good point. Look at that. I think 5 o'clock. And I'll drop that in the details in the Harvest group too. I believe 5 o'clock. All right, guys. Have an amazing day. I will see you guys soon. Let me know if you need anything, guys. And as always, share the call. If you know anybody who likes personal professional development, invite them to a free call. See you guys.